Hey everyone, welcome to the show tonight. Our theme is Believe in Your Journey, even if you don't know where it's going. My name is Dr. Asatar Bear. Here's my co teacher, Leah Schaefer.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Good to see you all. Each week, of course, we teach heart rhythm meditation. That's a method of meditation that comes out of Sufism, the Sufism in the lineage of Hazrat Inayat Khan. And each week we try to choose a theme. And, we're talking about this beforehand as we do, and just thinking about how life gives us so many ups and downs. And there is a sense of progress, right? We all have that and we all need that, you know.
Mm,
And it's a big part of the teachings of Hazrat Inayat Khan. It says it gives us joy on a fundamental level to feel like we're moving forward towards the unfoldment of our potential. And it
mm,
makes us feel, he says, it's worse than death, to feel like we're stagnating and to feel like we're held back. But sometimes the journey is like this. It's got ups and downs, right? Sometimes it feels like we're moving backwards. Um, and that is so difficult psychologically and emotionally, right?
mm.
And that's moments like that that we really need that to believe in our journey, that it is going somewhere, even if we can't quite see it.
Or if it looks completely the opposite of what we wanted it
Or what we expected it to, right?
to. it's a, it's a shit show. I thought it would be amazing. Uh, Speaking for a friend.
Yeah, of course.
Oh.
People think that you and I don't have problems because we meditate like
I just embrace
nation.
them. Oh.
Or how about when people say, you meditate a lot and you still have all these problems?
Yeah, that's what the
You
man
should
that I'm
see us
dating
without
said to me.
meditation, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You don't even know
Um,
how much worse we could be. Like, you think you're seeing limited human foibles now? Come on, you're not seeing nothing.
yeah, you should have seen me.
I'm sorry, I've got a little bit of an issue here.
Oh,
Uh,
that's okay, Asatar. I
uh,
believe in the journey of this class tonight, so
okay.
we're on a journey together, and there's going to be some bumps in the road. Um, yeah, so I think that just in general, it's like the uncertainty can be very difficult. I'll I'll start going. So there can be like I was saying, you're making your way towards something that you really want or desire, and then suddenly it looks very different than what you think it was going to look like. Or you've been fed a certain ideation that you've been working toward, and circumstances happen and it gets completely flipped in the opposite direction, and suddenly your path becomes very, very uncertain, and your understanding of like your ideal versus reality, there's almost like a disillusionment, and then you're not really sure, like, should I continue to believe in my ideal? Should I, who am I really, like, at this point,
Right.
and there's something like very painful about that in and of itself, but also there's so much turmoil, internal turmoil surrounding like the uncertainty. It's like I had a clear vision and now I have no idea what's the point, right? It's like, what am I really doing here? I don't understand anymore. I thought that I knew something and now I realize I don't know anything, right?
Yeah.
That kind of feeling. And so I'd really like to tap into that tonight, and me, Asatar, and myself, and just really trying to find what is inside, what is it that we can do while we're in these parts of our journey, and also how to value these parts of our journey, right? Because like I don't know anybody that likes going through lulls, that likes going through dips or hard times or challenging times. It's not fun. And we all kind of want to always be on top, like we want to be on top of the mountain and like really taking in the vista and having made it up the hill kind of thing. And so it's like a natural part of our culture, and it can feel like we can almost get like consumed by that when we think like, oh, I'm in this dark space and all is for naught. And it can all become very dualistic. It can all become very black and white. And it's like we lose sight of what, I guess, the bigger picture. We lose sight of the potentials that are still very much a part of us and the life that is very much within us.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's often been said that, spiritual attainment is like climbing a mountain, and, you have the sense that there's this place you can get to, you can kind of see it, you don't know what it's like, right? You travel there, it's difficult, right? You go through a lot, and then you finally attain it, right? But then you realize, oh, there's another, further, more distant peak that's even higher, right? But like, if you're going to get to a distant peak from the peak that you're on, what's going to happen next? You're going to have to go downhill, You're going to have to go downhill and then start rising again. I mean, that's kind of how mountains work, right? Like, so,
Mhm.
and this is, I think, a great metaphor for what happens, like we go through these cycles of expansion and contraction, what feels like we're really making progress, and then it feels like, oh, now we're less, and now we're going backwards, and it's
Mhm.
in a sense it's not true, right? Like, we, even though it feels like that, right, we feel like less, it feels worse, it's hard to go through that contraction, it's hard to go through a surrender,
Mhm.
um, but it actually is progress, and
Mhm.
that's what tests our faith, right? If nothing ever went wrong, if nothing was ever difficult, then our faith would not be tested. We'd be like, yeah,
Right.
that's what I thought. I'm awesome. This is an awesome journey. This is great. That doesn't
Uh,
test your faith, does it? Right? Like,
and there's also like the added part of like, so I think on a societal level, there's a lot that's happening in the world that is very, 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 very difficult. And it's like with without working through that turmoil in our own hearts, like, so when we come against that turmoil in our own hearts, whether it's personally or more of a situational experience, your work that you can do in expanding your heart's capacity to be able to basically outgrow it, whatever's happening, and be able to evolve through and past it. It's like that integration process, not letting it go, but like actually like turning um waste into fertile soil, like that composting process of integrating the shit more or less, but you have this ability in your heart to have your heart your heart grow in its capacity. Its capacity is not limited. And so like by you working through that issue, maybe it's a generational issue, maybe it's more meta, like that it's like a global issue on humanity's part. And you are working through that in your heart, not letting it go, but really turning it into something more fertile soil for you to actually grow from,
mm,
and move on from. That work is probably some of the richest work that we can be doing. And so just because it's a hard part of the journey does not mean that it is not a meaningful part of the journey. And I think it's really important to remember that, because it's like, it's not that we're seeking out pain, but pain is an indicator that something has to give, something has to change, right? So
yeah,
we can use that messenger to our advantage or to our demise. And so that's where you start to kind of question, like, what are we really doing here? What are we really believing in? And it's
yeah.
it's it's I think having to do with like believing in something that's very deep inside you and ennobling that light within,
Hmm.
in order to keep going, and transmutate through your own being.
Well, you really make some really good points here, and I think it's important to remember that, we're not alone here. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all connected, right? We're all one being, Um, so in that sense, right, like what one person does affects everyone else. Um, oh, we have a comment here.
Mm.
I thought this was a Marxist channel. Well, we do two things here, right? We do Marxist political economy, and we also teach meditation. And you're seeing the teaching meditation part. So, you know. But it's all
Mm.
connected, right? That's what I'm saying. It's all connected. So,
We
hoping
we
that's a
welcome we
comment.
welcome all belief
Yeah,
systems, by
we
the
welcome
way.
all. Right.
Yeah.
And dialectical materialism that comes from
Mm.
Marxism and praxis, the concept of praxis, right? These things are very much about you know learning and growing, experiencing contradiction, learning from your own experience, right? And the same, of course, is true in meditation.
Mm.
Each one of us is full of contradictions, right? I mean, that's really what we're talking about here. We we have this like side of ourselves that is triumphant and powerful and glorious, right? And we want to like be in that, right? But we also have a side of ourselves that is open and receptive and vulnerable, right? And what a contradiction that is, right? Like to have both of those things, right? To be both powerful and also very vulnerable. I mean, this is what our hearts are. Um,
Mm.
so hopefully that draws some connections. I don't know, but glad to have you.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
Uh, but let's do some meditation now that we've talked a little bit about this.
Mm.
Um, let's try it out and see if we can get a sense of what is this journey that we're on, and can we feel that from the inside? Can we believe in it because we're experiencing it, right? Not because it's an idea. It's like, do you believe in love? Well, if you feel love, it's a lot easier to believe in it, right? If it's just a concept, oh, that's a thing people say, love is out there, right? Well, that's one thing that's harder to believe in. But if you feel it in your heart, well, that's a different story, right? That's easier to believe in, even when it doesn't seem like it's pleasant all the time, right? And of course, love isn't pleasant all the time, right?
Mm.
Love brings pain as well as joy. So let's take a good upright meditation posture. We begin by trying to just have a sit in an upright fashion so that our spine is in line and we're not leaning too far forward or too far back, but we can sit in a way that is active yet relaxed. Um, we want a sensation of being energized, yet also being still. When our bodies are still, it triggers the relaxation response, a part of the nervous system that slows the heart rate and lowers the blood pressure and activates all of our activates our endocrine system to produce the mix of hormones and so forth, chemical compounds in our bodies that relax us rather than arousing our energies, allow us to relax and reflect. But usually that's associated with sleep. So in meditation, we want to be very energetic, and yet we're not using that energy for anything. We're not expressing that energy, and so it can build up within us and energize our hearts and our whole being. So the first step is posture, and then we move on to the breath. First step is to just become conscious of the breath. You are breathing right now. And in breathing, you are exchanging energy with the whole world, the whole universe, in fact. Energetically speaking, that is what is occurring. You breathe in and you're taking in energy. You breathe out and you are radiating energy, expressing energy. You notice your breath does these things, right? Inhale, the inhalation is called inspiration, right? Exhalation is also called expiration. Inspiration, expiration. Interesting terms, right? Giving and receiving, exchanging energy, expanding and contracting, just like we do on our journey toward fulfillment. In whatever way that our soul and spirit is longing to grow. That longing is very powerful within us. It's very real.
Mm.
So let's tune into that as we breathe, right? And just feel, how are you longing to grow? You know, we're using this metaphor of a journey, saying we're all on a journey. Where is your journey taking you? Where do you want to go? There's a clue there, and it's in your heart. So breathe into that sense of longing, that feeling of desire. Now, so far, we're just working with being aware of the breath. But now we want to go further. We want to intervene in the breath. We want to make the breath ideal. We want to make it optimal.
Mm.
And we can start by making the breath deep in our bellies. So as we breathe in, we are relaxing the abdominal muscles and just allowing our bellies to just open and expand. So breathing in, your belly gets bigger. Breathing out, your belly gets smaller, and your belly button moves toward your spine. So we're doing belly breathing now, or also called abdominal breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. Just opening and relaxing the abdominal muscles as we breathe in, and then contracting the abdominal muscles as we breathe out, like tightening a bag. These bags that closes with a kind of a string like that, right? Making that smaller. Just breathing in a very natural, relaxed fashion in and out of the belly. Now the next step is to make the breath slow. And we can do that by expanding and extending the inhalation. As we breathe in, just breathe in a bit longer. And then as you breathe out a bit longer, so that you're taking a slower breath. Your breath, it takes a longer period of time to complete than your normal breath. And to do this requires that you pay attention. And you might notice that if you stop paying attention, your breath is going to revert to your habitual pattern. So there's a discipline in watching the breath, changing the breath, and making sure that it stays in the pattern that you are trying to create. This is different from how you normally breathe. You're breathing in your belly now, and you're breathing slower. It's different, and it requires concentration. And try to keep all these things in mind, all right? So deep, slow, and you are giving and receiving energy with your breath. Now connect your breath and your heart. So feel like as you breathe in, it's your heart that is taking in the energy. And what does that mean, to take in energy to your heart? What do we mean by heart here? Well, we mean your emotional, poetic heart. Right? We mean the heart that is the metaphor for feeling, for what you value, for your principles, what you stand for who you are, the things that you love that matter to you, the people that you care about, what connects you to this life. What keeps you going? What gives you a sense of purpose? Now, you may, as you consider all of this, you might feel a sense of pain. You might feel like when you think about what you're moving towards, you might feel kind of blocked. But when I say what gives you a sense of purpose, you might say, I don't know that I have a sense of purpose. And all of that is fine, right? All of that is part of the experience. Or maybe you say, yes, yes, I feel that, right? Even if I don't know exactly what it is, I feel there is some sense that I am here for a reason. It's a complex one. I can't necessarily put it into a glib phrase, but I'm here for a reason, right? So as you breathe in, you are energizing that center, that heart center, which holds all of this. And as you exhale, you are expanding your heart, radiating the energy of your heart, expressing the energy of your heart without words, but you're expressing it nonetheless. Breathing out from your heart and expanding the light of your heart, the energy of your heart, out in all directions. Deep, slow, heart-centered breathing. Now we have another way to really tune into the energy of the heart and make sure that the breath is always energizing this vital center of ourselves. And that is the heartbeat. You know, your heart is always beating. What an incredible signal, and we can feel this signal when we pay attention to it. So tune into your heartbeat now and just start to pay attention to that and notice your heart beating. And then bring your heartbeat into rhythm with your breath. So you have the same number of beats on the inhalation as you do on the exhalation. So perhaps you try 8 beats in and 8 beats out. Now, if you can't feel your heartbeat, don't worry about it. That is not uncommon. Some people can feel it right away, some people can't. If you can feel it now, that's great. If not, you try placing one or maybe even both hands on your heart. Where your hands go, your attention goes. And of course, your hands have a lot of sensitivity, and your hands might be able to feel that beating of your heart in a way that you can't without your hands there. Or you might take one hand and kind of curl it around your wrist like this and just feel your pulse on your wrist with your fingertips. Now, if none of that works, it's okay to just imagine it, right? Just think of a beating that may be like what your heart rate might be like, and just imagine that, right? Over time, if you practice this and really pay attention and focus on your heartbeat, you will eventually learn to feel it. It might be a journey, but that's the metaphor, right? Life is a journey. We need to believe in that journey. But how can we use the breath? How can we really use the breath to experience that, right? Well, let's use a specific visualization, all right? So a specific way of focusing the energy of the breath. And let's breathe in and imagine that the breath is a stream of energy that flows into your back, right between your shoulder blades, so that as you breathe in, it feels like you're standing in a river of energy, and that energy is just pouring into your heart from the back. And then as you exhale, that energy is streaming forward from this, from your chest, right? Outwards, forward from your heart. Your heart, in this metaphor, in this way of tuning the breath, is in the stream of energy. And see if you can extend the stream. Visualize it coming from further and further back. That it becomes endless. It's an infinite stream of energy that flows into your heart as you breathe in. And it's an endless, infinite, eternal stream of energy that pours forth from your heart as you breathe out. And you are in this stream. You are experiencing the whole thing. And you're all of it. You're your own heart. You're your own body. You're your emotions. You're your thoughts, whatever they are. Even if they seem like they're scattered and distracted. You're all of this and more. And yet you're tuning into this infinite dimension of the breath, this stream of energy that is endless. Now, if you get a sense of this stream, you know, like any stream, like any river, its path might be circuitous. It might have periods where it flows really fast and really straight. Very easy to believe in it at such moments. That flow is very powerful. But there may be times when this flow reaches a plateau and spreads out, and the river starts to meander, and it goes one way and then the other way, and it goes forward and it goes back. And very, very common. That actually happens for rivers when they're not flowing downwards as much, they start to meander. So, but of course it happens to us too, right? We do have a destination. There is a flow. There is a moving forward, but we can get confused. It can feel like we're meandering. It can feel like we're stagnant. And this is where the belief comes in, right? There will be a time where that river flows fast and swift and straight. Again, that'll happen again. And this is all part of it, right? It's all part of our journey. And everything happens at the right time. Everything happens for a reason. It's all part of our unfoldment. We face challenges as we must, because we are infinite beings who confront a world of limitation. We struggle to make sense of that. So a part of us says, what the hell is going on? What is this? Inside we feel that infinite energy. We long to be that. That's our truth. And then we confront the reality, right? Oh, in this world there's limited resources. There's time and space, and energy is limited in its manifestation, and we can't have everything all the time, right? We can have that in the world of pure spirit. But in this world, no. In this world, we have to make choices. It's difficult, and things take time. All of this is a great challenge for our souls, right? Our souls don't perceive limitation. Our souls don't naturally understand that. So from that soul perspective, we're like, what is happening here? This makes no sense, right? We can get despondent. We can lose faith. We can stop believing. We can forget even who we are. And so what is meditation doing? Meditation is the time when we remember. The time that we drink deeply of this river of energy. this ocean of being. And we remember, we experience, we appreciate, we spend time with that truth, that reality. And each one of us is one. We are one with all that there is, all that has ever been, and all that will ever be. And our hearts are so large they contain the entire universe. And we should always remember that we're not in this by ourselves. Each one of us perfect, unlimited beings. We need each other. We need each other to know, right? To see each other, to know each other in our infinite qualities as well as in our limited, frail humanity. This is such a comfort, right? To know that you are with me on my journey. It lifts our spirits. So think of the ones who you feel close to. Think of the ones that you know they need you. There's always someone who needs you, someone out there whose life you enrich, someone that you lift up, that you support. Maybe that's not acknowledged, as such things are often go unacknowledged. You know, the people that mean the most to us, how often do we really express that to a person? Do they know that? Maybe not. But it is nonetheless very real. So consider that. Consider all the ones that you love, care about, even those that maybe you barely know, right? They're just your acquaintances. They're people whose paths you cross as you go through life. We are all in this together. And draw everyone into your heart as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, energize this entire group of hearts that are all connected, all one. All right, we'll end our meditation there. And when you're ready, just open your eyes and move your body a little bit.
Thank you so much, Asatar.
Nice to sit
There,
with you.
that was beautiful. There's something about like, there's something so reassuring about that feeling of like the infinite river moving through, because that even just like the movement of the breath and like feeling the movement of the breath consciously, and that very like forward direction, that just immediately gives this feeling of like like nectar or balm or salve for the heart, like this feeling of like, oh yeah, life is moving through me. Like you don't always have to have the answer, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you don't always have to have the exact solution, just to feel that energetic movement, so that you're not feeling like everything is stagnant, everything is always set in this direction.
yeah.
um
Sometimes the river itself is the answer, right?
yeah.
Comment here. Beautiful
Mhm.
meditation. Well, thank you for sharing it with us. We'll create
Yeah.
this vibe together, and I think it feels very powerful when we're in it. So
Mm.
thanks for being part of it, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. There really is so much to touch on with this topic itself. It's just like, because it's really like one of the things that I think it's like almost like touching into like the purpose of life, right? I mean, it's like really a big topic. Um, and I if we're thinking about it in terms of like, I I'm trying to give like an example of the ways in which we can really experience this in a kind of a clean setting. And one of the examples that I thought about was, you can have, for example, a sense of like your ideal in like your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that doesn't go the way that you want it to, but
Mm.
it doesn't, but I'm sure people can relate with that. And but
I
it but it doesn't mean that the love that you are striving toward is not already there and already still for and with you, you
right.
know? And it's like this differentiation of like the energy of love itself, um, is much bigger than the conditions around us, you know? Um, and it's the same thing with purpose. It's like some of us really have a sense of our purpose and we try to go toward that. And then it's, you know, not looking at all like you thought it would, or you're hitting up against obstacles.
Yeah,
And
or you experience a failure,
mhm,
very, very common, when you work on something or you try something, then
and you
sometimes,
start to think, sorry, what?
I just said sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's very difficult, right?
Right. And then you can come up against like that internal dialogue of like, I'm not good enough for my purpose, or I'm not worthy of love, you know, depending
Right.
on your circumstance. And it's like no, like the life force that's in you is always in you. That life force inside of you is always in you. And that the stream, the energetic universal unfoldment of love is always there as well. That stream of love is always moving through you and being created through you, even in times of deep healing. And so that kind of like differentiating factor I find just be really important in this. And the other thing is that I really think about is this. I was reading up on the writings of Hazrat Inayat Khan, and there's a certain like ennobling of the soul that creates the ability to believe in whatever, like in moving forward, basically, like in continuing on your journey. It's like there's a light inside or a feeling inside of you that just always knows beyond even what our identity, or you know, our sense of self knows. There's something that deep inside of us that knows something way beyond our physical limitations.
Yeah.
And it's like that allowance of, no matter what's going on, that allowance of that remembrance to happen. So like, you know, there might be clouds over the sun, for example, but that doesn't mean that the sun is not shining, right?
Mm.
Or you might be going through a very dark night and like completely forget like that the sun's going to rise again, you know, like this feeling of like forgetting the life force that's just constant even when there's clouds or even when it's night. And that sun is inside of you. That same sun burns in you, you know, like your own personal sun is burning inside of you all the time. And it's like we can get so in our heads with our limitations and like, oh, I'm not worthy, oh, da 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 da, you know. Um, and the thing is like this ennobling of the soul, ennobling of it, is to be like, this is what's true in me. This is what I feel to be my most authentic truth deep inside me. And I do not get this from my head. My mind can't even go there.
Right.
Sometimes I make my mind by doing a repeating of a mantra. That way my mind is forcing it into my system, or I'm using my mind to help my mind understand it or grasp it. But the feeling is actually really deep in your own heart, in your own being. And
Yeah.
it's like no, like finding, experiencing, like you were talking about earlier, like finding and experiencing that part of you, regardless of the clouds that are around your heart, regardless of the darkness that you might be facing, you know. And that's when you're like, I'm ennobling my soul. I'm not taking no for an answer, basically. um, you know, because it's like, I might not have had the love relationship I wanted with this person, but I'm still very much worthy of the energy of love. And I'm going to continue to create that in my life toward my ideal. And everything that doesn't match up with that will fall by the wayside. And this is the same thing with our sense of purpose as well. And so it's like that feeling of like, this is the realest part of me. And I'm going to feel that. And I'm going to let that be my own beacon. Let that be my own sun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Focus on that, energize that, believe in that. That energy attracts energy that is like that, right? And all that is not like that doesn't get energized and falls away. I think that's really important to remember. And, like with all this stuff, it's like, we can talk about it, and that's good. Right? Sometimes it's helpful to hear somebody say it. But of course, the thing that's really going to help is if you feel it, even for a moment, even a little taste of it, right? Like that, because that's so much more convincing than anything either one of us could say, right? Um,
Yeah,
if
all
you feel
sales
it.
are emotional. I mean, like movies give us this thing of like they let us feel things in like kind of a safe way and all that,
Yeah,
and it's like through this like story, but it's like until we actually feel the emotion from the movie, it's like that sparks it inside of us. It helps us remember it.
yeah,
But you can totally do that inside yourself, like through whatever's happening with you. It's almost like it's like wood to the fire or something like that. It's like all of the problems, all the issues is like good stuff to burn. It's like makes let it burn inside of you so that it can become bigger, like that's the thing about the heart rhythm meditation is like we amplify the emotion. We use the emotion because the emotion has extraordinary power behind it.
yeah,
And it's like but we learn how to direct it with our breathing.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
All right, shall we meditate? Was there anything else you'd like to say though before?
no, let's meditate. I think we're in a
Okay.
good vibe here.
All right. So it's funny, I came up with a really similar meditation, but in complete the opposite direction. So it's like you went you went from the back of the heart to the front of the heart, and I'm gonna go like from the sides of the
Okay, that sounds
heart.
good.
And what I'd really like to do, there's this great saying by Hazrat Khan that says, oh, what does it say? It says like one wonders about the past and the future, and if only one would remember the eternal now.
Mm,
And so I really want to help us tune in with that sense of the eternal now within our own being, because it's like that to me is like one way out of trillions and trillions of ways to access that burning flame inside of ourselves, the ennobling of our souls.
hmm
All right. And so come into your meditation posture. Ideally, without pain. If you need pillows, use pillows. Stacking the bones on top of themselves so your muscles can relax more. Trying to allow your knees to be lower than your hips so you can breathe more deeply. Sitting up on pillows or whatever you need to do that. And then we'll start the meditation just by tuning into our root chakra before we move into the side to side or alternate nostril breathing practice. And so just deepen your breath, begin to deepen your breathing, and again, feel that constant movement, that constant motion of your breath, a very clear indicator that life is always moving, always changing. Even the rocks are reorganizing themselves toward crystals. They're all reorganizing themselves so that more light can move through them, right? Even the rocks are moving. And so as you breathe, feeling life moving through you already, constantly. And then I want to invite you as you breathe, feeling your heart, tuning in with your heart. And then from your heart, exhaling down into your root chakra, which is basically at the base of your spine, like where your tailbone is, really deep, deep down inside of you. And then just inhaling again from that root back to your heart. And just having this sense, though, that you are really trying to find and feel the ancient aspect of your own being. Our mind, our identity is, I should say, our identity specifically is so young compared to our even our physical DNA, our physical body. I don't know the time, I can't remember the number at the moment, but I know, if you think about when humanity, when our species began, it was a very, very long time ago. And so start to tap in to the depth of your own being as you breathe down into the roots of who you are beyond your own knowing, beyond your own mental knowing. Tapping into a more ancient wisdom that resides within you already. And then we're going to do alternate nostril breathing, and I'm going to do a little bit differently today. So you can just, if you've never done that technique before, you don't have to close the full nostril. You close one nostril at a time, but just below where the bone is, you can just gently, gently press that space. Finding your own hand position that works well for you, but gently, gently pressing into the right nostril, right below the bone. And then you should be able to breathe only in and out of the left nostril. And we're going to do several rounds with just that side. It might feel very strange for you. If that feels too strange or unsafe in any way, you just energetically breathe on that side only. So as you inhale, I would like you to imagine that you're inhaling from the beginning of time. And you're inhaling from the beginning of time all the way into your left hip, into your root chakra. And into your heart. And then as you exhale, you're exhaling backwards, like you're going back from this moment, back through your whole life, all the way back to before maybe you were even conscious. Back, 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 back. Maybe to the beginning of as far back as you can imagine. Sometimes it helps me to think about how old that the earth is, just the earth itself. Not only life itself, but the earth itself is ancient. And our clay, it comes from that clay. And as you inhale, it's like you're breathing all of that life that has happened before, that has come before, breathing all of that life in, becoming more conscious of it, feeling more of how ancient your DNA, your actual body really is. And then your energy, your light, is it possible that that's even older? All of that life that has had to happen for you to exist in this moment right now. If you can feel your heartbeat or sense your heartbeat, make it into almost this tribal drum for your own being, really tapping in. Tapping into something you can't quite explain, but that you're a part of. And now the other side, gently closing the left nostril and breathing in and out of the right side. And start from your heart. And as you exhale, exhaling from your heart out into all of the life that will be lived after this moment. All of the moments that will happen, all the experiences that will become. And in particular, how life itself will always continue to live. Maybe not in this form, but the suns will still burn in the sky. And that all creative force of life will continue eternally without end. Really tapping in beyond, way beyond this moment, to just get a sense, get a taste of this unstoppable force of a life that lives in every various form that it creates. And as you start to open this up more from a sense of the eternal life stream, the eternal timeline, try to keep that feeling going, try to keep that energetic flow happening of the eternal timeline of life itself. While you start to feel all that you are moving toward yourself personally, all that you can imagine and cannot imagine, more as a feeling than a thought. All that's pulling you. All that wants to be expressed, experienced through your life, through your unique being. Good, and then let go of your hand with your nostril and have the feeling like when you inhale that you're inhaling from both sides, both ends of the spectrum of time. And you're inhaling that right into your spine, your midline, your heart. And then as you exhale from your heart, that your heart is broadening, widening, and expanding back out, reaching its arms back out into the life that it is a part of. in both directions, feeling that almost enfoldment and embrace of the eternal life. And while you do this, be steadfast in your heart. Find your core, the core within your core. Go deep, deep, deep in, deep into the center of your being, deep into your heart, and feel it pulsing, echoing out in all directions through time. But don't stop breathing either end of this broadening of your understanding of life, breathing it, your conscious experience of life, breathing it all in. The eternal on either end of the spectrum, breathing it all in. And then from you, this individual heart, breathing that back out. All while staying deeply connected in with your center and your anchor. And for a moment, try to feel how all of your past and all of your future is already a part of you. It is a part of the eternal now. Feel the infinite within this moment. All of your past and all of your future is already a part of you in the eternal now. But you cannot feel that with your mind. You only can feel that in the deepest parts of your being, the deepest parts of your heart. There is no predicting the future, but there is attuning yourself to the eternity, the eternal moment of now, the eternity within your own heart, the infinite within the finite. Tuning yourself up with that and using that to help heal you from your past and help guide you toward your future. And let it wash away and through any sense of limitation, any sense that everything is black and white and not all the full spectrum. That life is one and not duality. We are never only one thing. Everything, everywhere, all at once. That's the life that pulses within you. All right. As you're ready, go ahead and move your body and open up your eyes. Mm.
Oh, lovely meditation. Thank you. The thing that I think of with that, just like how we are trying to develop certain skills in meditation, we're trying to perceive energy and feel energy and understand energy, and one way we can do that is by, you know, perceiving how energy flows, right? And a good way of doing that is to limit it, so when we block one side, we're limiting the
Mhm.
flow on that side, and then we can feel it more on the other side, right? And we can also see
Mhm.
what is the balance between our nostrils, something that we're a lot of times not aware of, right?
Totally.
And
Yeah.
what does that mean in terms of how the energy is flowing? And so, this is a really good exercise for understanding a lot of that.
Mm. Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. If you wish to support the show, there's a Patreon page, and I would love to see you on Instagram. Follow me there.
And of course,
And
you should
anything
take
else?
a yoga class with Leah if you're in Tucson. And those
Yes.
of you who want to connect with me on Twitter, please do that. Look me up. You can find my link in the description. And we will be here next week. We're here every week. Thank you so much to those of you who joined us. And oh, we got one final comment here.
Um,
Uh, Very spiritually
Thank
aligned
you.
meditations, very healing meditation with you.
I'm
Thank
so
you so
grateful. Thank you so much for meditating with us. You're a big part of that happening. So thank you.
good to see you all. And we'll
Mm,
see you next week. Namaste.
Thank you. Mm.